Hey everyone, welcome. Today, our explainer is diving into something that is just truly monumental. We're going to conduct a rigorous, deep literary critique of a massive digital archive known as Videha 23. This isn't just some dusty collection of stories. It's a living, breathing record of modern Maithili literature. So get ready, get focused, and let's get right to it. Right off the bat, let's anchor ourselves with the visual identity of the pioneering Videha e-journal. This right here represents the absolute vanguard of digital Maithili literature. Edited by Gajinder Thakur, we have to understand that this isn't just a digitized book. It represents a massive, game-changing leap from traditional print straight into the digital age. It's a dedicated, relentless effort to preserve and really modernize the linguistic soul of a classical language. Okay, let's dive into this. Videha 23 is intentionally designed as a parallel collection of the best Maithili prose and verse. The editors don't just treat it like a book publication, they treat it as a full-blown Maithili literature movement. And I mean, the sheer volume of this archive is absolutely staggering. We're talking about pulling together nearly 1,000 pages. Its core mission is bold and undeniable: completely redefine a classical language for the modern era. So let's trace exactly how we got to this point, because it didn't just happen overnight. The digital evolution of Videha started way back in the early internet days of 2000, with a GeoCities presence called Palsarikachek. By 2004, it had evolved into the very first Maithili blog, and then finally, on January 1st, 2008, it launched as the formal Videha A-journal. This chronological progression is super vital to understand because it highlights a pioneering effort to digitally preserve a language, turning it into a massive, globally accessible repository. Now, to truly appreciate the literary critique of this specific volume, we really have to contrast it with what came before. Traditional Maithili literature historically leaned heavily, like very heavily, into elite societal narratives, ancient poetry, and mythological tropes. But Videha completely disrupts this. It actively champions gritty social realism, it amplifies marginalized voices, and it directly confronts modern crises. It's a revolutionary shift in literary focus. Section 1. Breaking Traditional Thematic Boundaries. The Editor's Choice. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the volume curates unprecedented firsts in Maithili literature. It reveals Gajinder Thakur's deliberate editorial intent to absolutely shatter long-standing societal taboos. For instance, we see the first poem addressing the horrific reality of rape, translated by Vineet Utpal in December 2012, right after the Delhi gang rape tragedy. We also see the first short story dealing with breast cancer, written by Meena Jha. The volume completely strips away any sort of polite veneer to directly confront harrowing, real-world social and medical realities that traditional literature just ignored. Section 2. Amplifying Marginalized Voices. A perfect example of this is Sandeep Kumar Safi's autobiography, which is actually recognized as the very first Dalit autobiography in Maithili literature. Let me tell you, its socio-literary impact simply cannot be overstated. This single piece gives the entire volume immense scholarly weight. It exposes the unfiltered, harsh reality of parallel social structures. It literally forces the reader to confront a side of society that parallelly exists but is rarely documented with such authentic, lived-in authority. Furthermore, the volume tackles the kinjur, or transgender experience with profound, raw honesty. We're reading narratives of individuals trapped between societal genders, pushed to the margins, and just forced to survive on societal scraps. The literature presented here completely strips away the old mythological romanticism that you often see associated with kinjurs in ancient texts. Instead, it gives us an unvarnished, gritty truth about their daily survival, their economic struggles, and their deep social exclusion. Section 3. Critiquing the Titan. By Nath Mishra, Yatri, also known as Nagarjun. Let's break down Yatri's core literary focus, as analyzed in the extensive critique by researcher Anupam Rina. His work is firmly, deeply anchored in the lives of the working class and farmers. He is fiercely anti-romantic. He's tearing down those elite illusions. He champions female empowerment, and he maintains a deeply rebellious, anti-hypocrisy stance. The critique really highlights his unwavering focus on elevating the oppressed over the elite, which fundamentally shifted who gets to be the protagonist in a Maithili story. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute heart of Yatri's work. His literature is intricately linked with the lives of the peasants, laborers, and the downtrodden, exposing the hypocrisy of social selfishness. It's this exact razor-sharp focus that laid the foundational groundwork for modernizing both Maithili prose and poetry. He didn't just write about the people, he weaponized literature for them. Section 4, Modern Poetry and Gritty Realism. So the crucial point is how this realism actually manifests on the page, proving that Yatri's legacy is alive and well today. Take the short story Bisanth by Jagdish Prasad Mandal. This is a stark, unflinching depiction of the devastating 1967 famine and the survival of the Musahar community. Prior to Mandal, elite writers had largely ignored these tragic historical events, mostly because they didn't personally experience the starvation. Mandal's work completely challenged that monopoly, insisting that Maithili literature must reflect the darkest, most painful realities of the region. Let's move to and see how this builds into our present day. The realism in this archive isn't just historical, it is highly, urgently contemporary. The volume features poems directly confronting the COVID-19 pandemic, like the works by Ashish Niraj and Binay Bhushan's Corona Avakash. It tackles the immediate, heartbreaking plight of migrant laborers during the lockdowns. It proves, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Maithili literature isn't stuck in the past. It's actively processing the world's most urgent crises in real time. Section 5. A living, breathing literary archive. Everything we've critically analyzed today, the bold confrontation of medical realities, the groundbreaking Deletato biographies, the unvarnished Kinnar narratives, the searing critique of Yatri, and the immediate pandemic poetry, it all points to one undeniable fact. Maithili is a living, sharply critical reflection of modern society. Without the enduring digital imprint of the Videha e-journal and the rigorous preservation spearheaded by Gajendra Thakur, many of these vital, marginalized voices might have been totally lost to time, or just ignored by mainstream publishing. This digital archive ensures that these narratives don't just survive, they have a permanent, indestructible platform to continue evolving and challenging future generations of readers. Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought. How do digital archives fundamentally alter the survival, evolution, and progressive democratization of regional languages? Just think about that for a moment. When the traditional barriers to publication are removed by the digital world, who finally gets to tell their story? It's a fascinating question, and I really hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity to explore more about the power of digital literature. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep asking great questions.